In 1965, Mary Beth Tinker was a 13-year-old junior high school student.
I grew up in a working-class community in Des Moines, Iowa. In many ways, we had a very ordinary childhood. I worried about my grades, and I went roller skating on the weekends. But at the same time, there were many issues that were very controversial as far as what direction our country would go in.
The 1960s were an enormous time of upheaval in American society.
There were civil rights protests, particularly in the South.
There was enormous cultural conflict over many things, over integration, voting rights, and perhaps most importantly, over the war in Vietnam.
In early 1965, the United States started sending combat troops into Vietnam. As the year went on, the violence escalated.
And so by Christmas of 1965, we kids were seeing war, war, war on the news all the time.
Mary Beth's father was a Methodist minister, and her mother was active in the peace movement.
My parents raised us to put our values into action. And it wasn't enough to just talk about the values of love and understanding and getting along. We were supposed to actually try to make that happen.
So in December of 1965, Mary Beth, her older brother John, and a group of students made a plan to wear black armbands to school to protest the Vietnam War.
School authorities get wind of this plan, and they say, oh no, you are not able to wear these black armbands. This is too hot of a topic.
Iowa, in particular, had the highest per capita participation in military service of any state in the Union. So the issue of the war was particularly fraught.
The school district issued a rule warning that anyone who wore a black armband to school would be suspended. Many students backed out, but a few decided to wear them anyway.
I was really nervous because I was very shy, and so I decided I would try to be brave.
So they wear their armbands to school. The students are relatively accepting. The school administrators, however, are not.
I went to my math class, Mr. Moberly's class, and I loved math. He immediately saw the black armband and gave me a pink pass to go to the office, and that's where the girls' advisor, Mrs. Tarman, gave me a suspension notice, and I went home.
Several other students were also suspended, including Mary Beth's older brother, John.
The school's reaction to it was quite clear. They regarded this as completely unpatriotic, inappropriate speech.
One of the students was told, you're too young to have opinions on important questions.
And your job is not to have opinions, your job is to come here to learn.
You've all heard that old expression, that children should be seen and not heard. That's kind of what the school was saying.
Well, my family didn't believe that. They believed that you should take part in democracy and you should be active in it.
To take a strong anti-war position in 1965 was an extremely courageous thing to do.
America was only beginning its involvement in Vietnam, and the war was supported by most Americans.
Many people thought that protesting the Vietnam War was anti-American rather than anti-war.
People are supposed to support the troops and support the cause.
A lot of people got really mad at us, which was very confusing as a child because we were speaking up for peace at Christmas time. We got hate mail. We had a bomb threat to our house on Christmas Eve. But one group that didn't get mad was the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. And so they offered to help us.
With the help of the ACLU, the Tinkers sued the Des Moines School District.
What the school authorities were doing by telling the Tinker children that they could not wear the black armbands was, in effect, silencing one side of the debate.
Students who supported the war were allowed to express their views, but students like Mary Beth Tinker who opposed the war were not. And that's called viewpoint discrimination, something that is not allowed under the First Amendment. It means that the government can't restrict your speech simply because of your point of view. But did that apply to students?
So the question of what rights do students carry into school and how should we think about those rights came squarely before the Supreme Court.